Ben Whittaker absolutely demolished Benjamin Gavazzi on Saturday night, Knuckleheads, but did it do anything for his career? Knuckleheads, welcome to the Fighters Rep, where you get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth from the mind of an attorney/promoter. So please subscribe and join the channel. That being said, I'm excited to talk to you guys about this fight because I love British boxing. I think they're the best fans on the planet. I think they have some of the best fighters on the planet. And I think Ben Whittaker is a very exciting prospect. He looks the part. He sounds the part. He's a 2020 silver medalist from the Olympic Games. He's at light heavyweight where people get knocked out, and light heavyweight's a pretty exciting division. And, he's just got some swag and charisma. So I was looking forward to seeing what he did in this fight. And I didn't really research his opponent, Benjamin Gavazzi, too much prior to this fight. But I looked at the record and I said, okay, he's got double the amount of fights, only one loss, right? He had 19 fights and one loss, so that's 20 fights. And Whittaker has only had 10 fights, even though he's undefeated. I said, this might be a good litmus test. The fight happened on Saturday night, and I was a little bit shocked, to be honest, by how easily Whittaker overwhelmed this guy. And he didn't do anything special in the fight. He essentially just opened up a few times and threw a couple combos, which seemed to completely take Benjamin Gavazzi, take him off guard and just completely obliterate him. I mean, it was a brutal finish, if I'm being honest. And so it just didn't really make sense visually to me after seeing both guys' records. But then I looked at Gavazzi's record in more detail. And I noticed that of the 20 fights he had before going into this one, only 5 of those 20 guys, I could be wrong, but I believe it was only 5 of those 20 guys had a winning record. The rest had losing records. He fought 15 guys with losing records. I believe that's what the BoxRec shows. And then I looked at Whittaker's opponents in the 10 fights he had before Gavazzi, and 9 of the guys had winning records, and only 1 had a losing record. And even the guy with the losing record had a lot more fights than Whittaker. So the way these two guys were moved was completely different, night and day. And it shows you how effective it is, right, to move somebody, with a purpose, as opposed to just getting them opponents to make their record look good from a numbers standpoint, right? And that especially interests me as a former fight promoter, because that's what, was the most gratifying thing for me as a promoter. Building fighters up, putting them in fights that I thought would get them the experience they needed to go to the next level. And so I see this, and it's fascinating to me. And boxing has been doing this for so long, right? I mean, more recently, we've been kind of coming back to getting fights that are more 50-50, but this was an A-side versus B-side fight. Man, big time. And I started to ask myself, and my question for you guys is, what did this fight actually do for Ben Whittaker's career experience-wise, right? Because fighting a guy who obviously had no business in there with you, yes, getting the knockout in the first round is going to look cool for social media, and it's going to make you some money, and you're going to get some clicks and feel good about yourself for a little bit. But how good are you really feeling about yourself when you look back at his opponents and when you see how easily he was overwhelmed in that first round? I mean, this wasn't close. This wasn't close at all. And the guy just looked, in my opinion, completely out of place and outclassed. I didn't feel like he looked like a guy that belonged in there with Ben Whittaker, right? And again, I don't want to downplay the guy's career. I mean, he had 20 fights going into this. He's now 21 fights. He's 19-2, right? So he's obviously fought some people, but obviously they weren't people that were effective at getting him the experience he needed to fight a guy with half the amount of fights. And I understand Whittaker's got an Olympic pedigree, silver medalist, this and that, but half the amount of pro fights, and you couldn't even get out the first round. So does this fight actually do something for Ben Whittaker, right? Did he absorb any good or reasonable experience from this fight? I would argue that he didn't, and it's almost harmful when you go in there with somebody with that many fights and you just steamroll them like that. I'd like to see Ben Whittaker again. I don't think I learned anything about him in that fight. I'm not sure he learned much about himself in that fight. Yeah, maybe he made a bunch of fans or, made a bunch of money, which is good for him. He should keep doing that. But if you want to progress in this sport, I'd like to see you fight somebody with a bit more clout, a bit more credibility, somebody who's actually going to give you a bit of a fight. Knuckleheads, tell me what you think in the comment section below. Am I tripping about this one, or do you guys feel the same? Let me know. Share the video, like the video, subscribe, and join the channel. Don't forget to get your Fighters Rep merch. Look, I got this sweater down in the links below. It's getting a little cold, so I'd appreciate you guys checking it out. And I'm going to be dropping daily content. I'm going to go live tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, so definitely tune in for that. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Let's talk about this.